Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and they underestimate what they can do in 5. I have changed my life multiple times over in a 5-year time span. I want to give specific examples of that today. Listen, today at 54 years old, I'm a single woman. I bought this beautiful home. I make about $300,000 a year right now as a content creator, constantly playing in the game and dabbling. And I've been able to do some really cool things because I learned how to build this business. But there's been time frames when things have been really challenging. And today I only work about 4 hours a day, so I don't have to hustle like I used to. But I used to have to really hustle. And it took me kind of a becoming to get to the point where I am today. I want to talk a little bit about the time frame between my divorce and then buying this house. And I will just tell you that I have seen these 5-year windows in multiple family members and friends be astronomically life-changing. You can be an entirely different person in 5 years. So I was 45 years old. I thought I was going to be married forever. Long story short, my husband basically sat me down one day and said he was only in the marriage for our child. And I said, "You mean you're not in love with me anymore?" And he said, "I'll say it again. I'm only here for the child." Well, that wasn't going to work for me. Not to mention the fact that at that point, he had basically retired himself, even though there wasn't a bank account, and I'm working still, hustling. I'm like, well, I'm certainly not going to stay here and do all of that and have somebody tell me they're not in love with me anymore. So I made the choice to leave because I've got, what else am I going to do? It wasn't what I wanted. That I knew for a long period of time that we were struggling. There's no doubt about that. But it was what it was. Eckhart Tolle, one of my favorite things that I've ever heard, Eckhart Tolle and Tony Robbins have both said some things that were just life-changing for me. And one of the things Eckhart Tolle says, and I may misquote it, but he says, if you are suffering, if you are in some sort of pain or misery or unhappiness or uncomfortable, you have 3 choices. Your choices are to change it, the situation, leave it, or accept it. So every time now that I'm in one of those pivotal decision modes, I ask myself those 3 questions. The situation that I'm in, can I change it? Well, if it's a yes, great. If it's a no, or you've exhausted every possible way, which I did in my marriage, I know that all the way through. I didn't just give up. It was 25 years. I really, really tried. And it was on both of us, right? That's never on one person. We just grew in different directions. We don't want the same things anymore, that kind of thing. So I can't change it now. I've tried everything. And I can't accept it. This is one of those things I cannot accept, to stay in a household where I'm not loved and I'm also doing all the support. And there were other things. And then my only choice was to leave it. That was it. I looked at that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. And some people will choose to accept it. Let me tell you, I chose to accept it for a long time before that. So that was my decision. And I knew what that meant. That meant we had a couple shared businesses, and one of them was a real estate business, and I really wasn't active selling real estate, so I knew that probably wasn't going to be an income for me unless I just kept, I would generate business for referrals, so that was an option. But we basically dissolved our real estate team, and the judge said, you take your real estate license and you take your real estate license, and then we got to decide what to do with our own real estate businesses. They can't be valued at any money. They can't be split. I didn't get any money from the divorce, by the way. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I paid off all the debt. Excuse you, kitty. This is Gaia with her tail up here. This is the 3rd time I've tried to make this video because of cattails. So, girl. Okay. And so the other business that I had was a digital marketing business that I had kind of started. I would go travel and teach classes, and I had started a little marketing agency with my brother, but the income wasn't solid, it wasn't stable, it was unpredictable. So I actually knew that this might mean I have to go get a job. I don't know what this is going to look like. I've got to support myself. I got to find a little apartment or something to live in. So when I got my apartment, this was the moment that the 5-year big window started. That first year, my daughter was 13. She was just finishing, she was still in middle school at the time. I think she started high school when she was the next year. So yeah, so this was like August. They were going to be starting high school that fall. So I had to move into a zip code where she could apply for this magnet school that had a very low acceptance rate, and it had this little lottery system, and you got to get in if you were close to the school and based on her grades and her skills and whatnot. It was important to get her into this magnet school because she also wanted to go to this college that had a 5% acceptance rate for her program. And if you went to the magnet school, it increased your odds of getting into the college. So my entire focus at the time was not me, although I was depressed and struggling and trying to figure things out. It was, how do I get us in a position where these things will line up for her? What I wanted was a plan to get her into her college that she wanted to go to, or work, or whatever it was that she wanted. I needed to get her through that 5 years till she becomes an adult. So we talked about it. What is it? I already knew she wanted to go to this fancy Walt Disney art school in Southern California. It was going to cost me about $80,000 a year for the curriculum, her living expenses, food, that kind of thing. Now, most people would say I was crazy for doing that, but it was important to me for a couple things. I did not want her to start life with debt. I didn't really feel like I had a choice with being raised in a low-income house. My mom was divorced and all of those things. It was never even an option. We never even grew up with a conversation around college. It just wasn't even a conversation. In fact, believe it or not, I didn't graduate high school either. I dropped out and got married. That's what I did. And I was a straight A student until boys. That was my kryptonite. So it wasn't even a real conversation. I wanted her to have the option. I didn't care if she made that choice. She could, whatever was going to make her happy is what I supported. And my other daughter was already grown, married, and I had said this is what she wanted to do. And so I wanted to support her in that. And I didn't want her to take out any loans. I wanted to take out the loans for her. So what I knew that meant was I had to get my credit score up high enough to be able to qualify to live my own life, whatever that looked like, and to get her into college within that 5-year span. So I knew that was my window. I had to pay off the debt because I got a ton of debt from the marriage. And I'm not going to go into those details, but I ended up paying off every penny of it. And there was quite a bit. So I had to get that taken care of and be able to help her get into college. So that was my goal for her. And then what was my goal for me? So I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in manifestation. I believe in feeling like you've already achieved what it is that you want before you get there, to kind of get the universe conspiring to make it true. Yeah, I'm a little woo-woo. And I would lay there in the apartment pool and close my eyes and I would say, okay, 5 years from now, we know Tabitha's where she needs to be. I've got her taken care of. She's in college and I'm funding all of that. That's a big goal. Trust me, where I was at the time. I job hunted that first year. I didn't think my businesses were going to be able, I didn't have enough faith in the stability of my small businesses that I had started that I thought I was going to be able to do all that for her. And so I actually went job hunting. But then when I went job hunting and I looked at the money, I'm like, I'll never be able to do that. I think the highest job offer that I was looking at was like $80,000 a year. And then you figure taxes and things that come, I'm never going to be able to put her into college and afford the loan payments, stuff that was going to come from that. So I just knew that wasn't an option. So I knew my businesses had to work, period. They had to work. I had to make them work. And I forgot where I was going a minute ago with that, but we'll just continue with, so we're in the apartment. What do I want my dream to look like? So I'm out in the apartment, I'm out in the pool, and I'm envisioning what it would feel like for me now. She's set, I'm here. What I want to feel. The first word that came to my mind. Now remember, I'm not saying what money do I want, what do I want, what do I want a house? I'm not dreaming like that. I'm saying, what do I want life to feel like in 5 years? Now that I will, for the first time ever, be an empty nester, what do I want it to feel like? And the first word that came to mind, I use a different word for it. Today I use the word freedom. But the first word that came to mind was unburdened. If I had to pick one feeling, what would I want to feel in 5 years? The word was unburdened. So what does that look like? Debt-free, maybe not having employees, maybe I wasn't sure of all the things that I needed that to be unburdened, but I can tell you that time when I was 45, I felt burdened. That was so much burden. And it took me a while to get to where I am today, completely unburdened, the exact opposite, and completely free. And I would lay there just picturing what it was going to feel like. And then the freedom part came in, like freedom to be whoever I want to be, freedom to travel, freedom to choose how, where, what, when, with who, the ability to never have to say no because of money, to always be able to say yes if it's something I want to do or something that's important. These are the things that kept coming to my mind. So I just kind of stayed in that momentum. And then I woke up every day in my little 750 square foot apartment, which was beautiful. So beautiful. I created this little Zen-like spa apartment, but it was, cheap. I think my rent was like $900, which is quite a bit different than what things look like today. And I made a spreadsheet, and on this spreadsheet, I listed all my debt, all the debt. And then every time I would pay towards something, I set up formulas in my spreadsheet. I'm a Virgo. I love a good spreadsheet. I set up these formulas that would automatically change the balance amount so that I could constantly see the debt coming down, right? And in the very beginning, I was honestly just trying to feed us. There was no child support. In fact, I had to pay child support because even though he didn't wind up taking, we had 50-50 custody and he didn't end up using his 50. It's just the way Nevada is. It's a 50, the way, it's so weird how we do it here. If there's a 50-50 custody agreement, which we chose, the two of us, then whoever makes the most money has to pay the other person. And just based on how our businesses split, I made more, the last whatever months I made more. So that's how that worked out. But anyway, the point was I was just figuring things out. Like, I just want to feed us. I got to cover attorneys. I got to cover medical expenses. Because, when you're working for yourself, nobody's providing insurance for you. All of these things. I got to figure out how to take care of my kid and do all the things. Then I hustled. Okay. When I say I hustled, I mean, I put my head down, and mine was all computer work. And I just went after my business like a crazy woman. And my business today looks very different than how it looked back then, although the same principles apply. I was blogging and doing SEO for Google optimization, search engine optimization. And I monetized my blog with ad revenue, affiliate income. That I still do today. The biggest difference with those two is, I have a new blog now. It's not even the same one that I started back then, but it's not driven by Google anymore. It's driven mostly by Pinterest. And now we're seeing some AI optimization coming in from that as well. And then back then I had was more active in the real estate world, which I'm not as much anymore. I have a real estate license, but I'm not super active. I wasn't working with clients then. I was just lead generating on the computer. And then I would give that lead to somebody and they would give me an affiliate commission. So a referral, it's in the real estate world, it's still affiliate marketing basically, but we call it referrals. And I never knew if a deal was going to close or not. I never knew if a check was going to come in or not. It was so unpredictable and so scary at the time. And then I had started this kind of little marketing agency with my brother to build WordPress websites, but my payroll going out was more expensive than what I made. Like, there were many, many times when I paid my team, which was mostly family members at the time, sister, brothers. There were many times when they got paid and I didn't. People don't understand that about new businesses and what we go through. And it just looks like, oh, she had all of these businesses when she got her divorce. That's why she was able to live. Are you kidding me? It cost me more and sometimes than it did than I made to have those businesses. And then you've got the taxes and self-employment taxes and all the things and the expenses that come off of that. That being said, The things that I did at a really, really high level was generate new interest in the brand, generate new business, YouTube channels. And I guess the formulas of what I do today are very similar to what I did then. They're just different. They're just might be different platforms or different ways that they're monetized. Like we didn't have TikTok Shop back then, and I'm doing TikTok Shop now. We didn't have Amazon Influencer back then. I'm doing Amazon Influencer now. I was giving away ebooks for free back then. Now I'm selling ebooks, and I wasn't doing full blown. I have a coaching program now. I didn't have then. So similar principles, just different ways of monetizing them. And as time went on, as I stayed focused and the business started building, I started to notice that the debt on the spreadsheets was coming down. I was able to start putting more and more money towards that debt, and I was obsessed. Like every extra penny I had that I could, I threw at the debt because I wanted to be unburdened so bad. That's the only thing I can think about. Today, I live my entire life on the principles of being unburdened and being free and being able to make those choices. And then all of a sudden, you guys, I get choked up still to this day because I'll never forget that 5th year when everything is now, oh my gosh, it was so stressful though. But now I'm debt free. I paid off all the debt over the 5 years. We're at that point now where my daughter is applying for college. I still don't know yet if I'm going to be able to get loans, but we're right in the thick of all this, right? We're at that moment. I'm now making 6 figures in my business. I'm now today I make multiple 6 figures, but I was making 6 figures. I was getting everything done. I was making the money. I was paying off the debt, all from digital marketing, still digital marketing, the same stuff I teach and do today. In fact, you'll find a series of ebooks down there that have a lot of what I teach, plus I have a coaching program on these same methods. And there it was. So that week, my she's waiting for her response. She's waiting for her response from the college. And I'm driving down the road and she's sitting right next to me and she squeals. I got to find the video because it was such a moment. And I've never even heard the sound that she made before. And she just puts her head down and I made it. And she's crying hysterically. I made it. And I just sat there going, this is it. This is the moment. This is when it all changes. This is what we've worked so hard for. This is the moment. So as soon as she got her acceptance letter, we had to wait like a couple weeks to get all the tuition information and whatnot. And I didn't know what I was going to do, you guys. I didn't know money. I didn't know financing and taking out loans and all that stuff at that time. So I didn't have any help. I went online and I Googled a bunch of things trying to just find how do I get her college loans and what do I do? And finally, I found an online bank that I was able to apply with. And I actually got approved within like 24 hours. It was a ridiculously stupid high interest rate. And it's one of those, which that's not the bank's fault, it's just what it was at the time. But it was one of those loans where even if you pay it off early, you still have to pay all the interest. Like that's a fee, that interest so there was no refinancing option to make things less expensive. But all I cared about was if I could cover 1 year, if I can get the loan just for this year, that's going to cover her dorm, her food, her living expenses, her getting in there, I'll figure out next year. That was it. That was all as far as I could possibly go at the time. And I got approved immediately. And I was like, oh, I like, here we are, here we go. We're here. And got her into college, took her to college and came back home. And that same year though, that same year before I took her to college, I also bought my own house. And I built it from dirt up. I didn't build it. Obviously, there were builders. It was a brand new housing tract that was coming into town. And it was a little town about 45 minutes away from where I was living at the time in Las Vegas. And my brother had moved here, and we bought my mom a house to live here. So there I was alone, and I thought, all right, I'll follow them. So I built a house from ground up. But you guys, the most miraculous thing about that is that I was able to get her into her college with loans, buy myself a home, which at that time, I mean, now our homes are worth $1 million. At that time was not that high, but it was a lot for Vegas. And I got to design it, put in the flooring, custom build a pool in the backyard, do all my fancy shutters, and I bought all my furniture in Monterey, California, and had it shipped down here. I mean, not only did I get to buy a house, I got to do it up, like all the ways that I wanted to do. And my income and credit was high enough to do all of that. I mean, some of it I did pay for in cash, and some of it I financed, which is all paid off now. I've been in this house 4 years, but I also helped my mom buy a house, covered all her down payments. My brother and I split it. I never dreamed that those two things were going to happen. They weren't even on my radar. They weren't even on my. As a matter of fact, I thought I would either just live in a apartment forever, or get a little townhome or condo, or maybe an RV or something, which I really don't drive well, so I don't know that an RV is meant for me, and I'm probably not that much of a nature girl, but it was just something I thought of. But I didn't have any dreams of where I was going to live. I wasn't thinking like that. I just wanted unburdened and free. And all of a sudden the universe said, all right, you've done a great job over here, and you've really hustled, and you've helped your daughter get into college. Now it's your turn. And I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. And it all happened within 6 months. Got my mom's house, my house, and Tabitha into college in 6 months. It was absolutely incredible. And that also meant I qualified for both of those houses in my name, in my mortgage, all of that. If you'd have told me when that divorce first happened that I was going to have all that opportunity, that all that was going to happen, I would have told you were crazy. In 5 years, I would have told you were crazy. I wouldn't have believed all that was possible. But it was. And now I've been in this house 4 years. Tabitha has graduated college, so another 5-year span in this house has been like a lifetime. Learning how to date again, new town, new friendships, different balance in work. I no longer have any employees. I no longer have business partners. I have my brothers. I send business to my brothers' marketing agency that I essentially gave them, but that's a whole nother video. But I don't work directly with anybody. I don't report to anybody. It's an entirely different life than it was even 5 years ago. And I'm traveling by myself. I'm going on these vacations and cruises. And I just want you to know that wherever you are, if you're not on the top of where you want to be yet, give yourself the time and the grace to get there. And if you're in a state where you still need to hustle, then damn it, hustle. If you're in a state where you don't have to hustle so hard, but there's other things that you want, then work towards them. Right now, my main focus is wellness. You know, I just want to age as good as I possibly can. I want to hurt as little as I possibly can. I want to be able to move and be strong. So I spend a lot of time now in the gym and cycling and walking and at wellness retreats and things like that because I can, and that's what's important to me. But don't limit yourself. At one time, I thought I was too old. I thought I was too old to start over. And I have had a beautiful introduction to people that are decades older than me. My mentor was 75 and was still constantly reinventing himself before he transitioned to the other side, and was telling me every day how beautiful life was when you never stop learning and you never stop growing, you never stop building. And I want to be just like that. And I was on an Alaska cruise and I met a woman who was 86 years old traveling by herself on this cruise ship. And she's sitting here telling me all these projects she's working on and all these things she's doing and what she wants to get this certification for something else. And I was like, and I'm over here at 45. I mean, now I'm 54, but I'm over here, back then I was 45, telling myself I was too old. I'm too old to do that. I'm too old to reinvent myself. I reinvent myself now every day at 54. I'm still reinventing myself. I'm all over Instagram now, building this Instagram account. I didn't want to be on Instagram. I don't know why, but now I'm over there doing that. You can learn, you can grow, you can do new things, right? If I wanted to suddenly learn a new skill or something, you can. I'm just saying, you can. All right, I'll stop rambling now. I'm Lori Ballen. If you like this style of teaching, I'd love to have you in my coaching program. Ebooks are down there below, and I will talk to you soon.